What a day.
What a I don't know. This is not
Yeah.
this is not some aberration. I guess we kind of saw this sort of thing coming, and really
Mm-hmm.
the the pass rush for the Eagles isn't bad. They're getting some pressure on the edge, but the tackles, for the most part, are handling it very deftly, just really pushing them to make them take the great circle route around for the most part. And they're
Yep.
getting the ball away fast enough where that's not mattering.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, on the run, Dallas's front five is winning big. I joked with Dan just now when they ran that quarterback sneak from like the 6 or 7 yard line. You know how fast your mind moves, and like in the moment, I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna score. Like he looked like he was gonna get 6 yards on that sneak. They are just crushing up front right now, and that's bad news because if you're not winning, at the point of attack there and getting your pass rush home, the secondary is in bad shape to start with, and now we have who is it, Blankenship had to go to the locker room after he took that knock on the head. And again, I pointed that out in the Discord. I said, by the letter of the law, you can be flagged for that if you're Ferguson, like lowering your helmet like that. But it's tough. They don't. The reffing crew has been odd. There was 8 accepted penalties in the first quarter, and then they didn't call another one until that face mask with like a minute left in the first half.
Yeah, they were like,
they just like all right, hey, let's bring this down.
The head ref looked at his guys and he gave him this sign. It's like, guys, let's tone it down. Let's tone it down. We got a lot of game left. Chill out. That's all fair. Handful of thoughts. The Eagles look gassed, like we kind of saw.
Like they've been through the goddamn meat grinder.
They've been through the meat. The Eagles look like a team that has just played the best of the NFL week in, week out, and that the team that they're playing against has had extra rest. Like, my goodness gracious.
Is this an American Pie reference? The movie came out like 25 years ago.
Suck Me Beautiful.
Suck Me Beautiful.
Yes. Incredible.
Yes, if you were sitting on Dallas first half team total.
Yeah,
the first half over Dallas. Good job. It does make our job a little tougher because the game state is in a weird spot where, yes, Dallas is winning at the line of scrimmage for the most part. They're honestly doing pretty decent defensively as well. Mm-hmm. Those 2 nicer drives.
Yeah.
They stiffened up in the red zone. Obviously, Brown dropped one right there at like the 2-yard line. That was pretty ugly.
Yeah, that was ugly. Okay, so here's my thoughts, and it lends itself to playing Cowboys, but I need you to play red team, okay? So tell me why this is stupid. And I'm someone who's holding alts for Cowboys, so I have really no incentive at all to play a -110 type of bet at all in this game. I should just ride this out.
Hold before you say it.
Okay.
Like the Eagles are 10-2. So I have a hard time putting them in the category with shitty teams.
Yes.
But the way they're playing against them right now, they might have to be matchup wise in the category with like, here's these Washington or some of these other teams where Dallas
I agree.
Thunder trucked.
I agree.
Is that where you're going with? Like,
no, I wasn't even going to go there, but I 100% agree.
Because Dallas in the second half against some of those teams, they couldn't help themselves.
No, there are 2 points that I think lend themselves to Dallas here.
Let's hear it.
The first is, what are the Eagles incentivized to do at this deficit?
Stay healthy.
Get healthy and like put away the good plays.
Yeah.
Like irrespective of whether or not you win the NFC East, the likelihood that you see these Cowboys a third time is high. Round 2 of the playoffs in the 1-5, either in Philly or in Dallas, very, very, very much in play. Like, you are very incentivized if you're the Eagles and you're getting your brains beat in to just like, let's just get out of here. Let's not get anyone else hurt. We're going to need time to get right and get healthy anyway. We'll just take our lumps here. Like, that is a very real kind of possible outcome that the Eagles kind of get to if they don't have success early in the second half, or they could just decide that. Now, the other thing that I want to point out is there's a concerted effort for Dak MVP push,
Well,
right?
not only that, but
we're like Mike McCarthy's pumping some tires, right? Like he's like there's an effort going on. They're getting. I mean the sec like on the goal line, you're throwing, you're throwing, like.
Well,
okay.
I wondered about that too, especially how many yards per carry that everybody has been getting, Dak included. Like you could have easily ran. I get what you're saying. I wondered about that too because two straight passes there. It's like you're trying to pump up the numbers a little, and I wonder too because it's a divisional opponent. Maybe Dallas is incentivized to put away the good plays a little too, but I don't know. Like the medium and bad plays are kind of working as well, especially up front. I'd like to see what they're getting per carry right now. Dallas rushing 5.3.
Dude, Tony Pollard's having his best. I feel like he's having his best game this season. Like, it's probably not statistically. Like he's only got 32 yards on the ground and he's got 20 yards through the air. So it's not like he's jumping off the stat sheet. But they've
all been like meaningful yards.
Yeah, so and he's had a couple.
Here's a
couple of big
4-yard rush on 3rd and 18. That doesn't mean shit. Like everything's been purposeful and meaningful. Yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to just take this under. I worry about it a little with Dallas just being so efficient right now. So I'm with you.
You know what? No. You know what? 25 and a half. You know what? 25 and a half is a big. That's a big one, man. I already have. I already have that though. I don't want more. Let's take the under. 25 and a half. Yeah, 25 and a half is a big one. I like realistically, this could end 41-6, and I wouldn't be surprised. Right? I don't know. How does it get to 41? Is that math tough? That's 17 points, right?
Yeah,
17-0 second half. That stays under. Let's go under. Under. Let's do it. I'm listening to you. It's important to listen to your partner, people. Oh, you like the under better than the Cowboys. I had to listen
to mine too much yesterday.
Did you guys get a Christmas tree or something and it went sideways?
No, it was her birthday. I had to take her out.
Oh, God. Good Lord.
I'm a little hungover still. All right. It's expensive, but 26.5 minus 118 at Chris. On it.
Minus 118. Okay. I'll do it. That's basically the only place I can get a bet in second halves nowadays anyway. So it is what it is.
Maybe a little pop over to a different book. See if we can parlay that with Dallas money line.
All right, man. Good work. Let's go. Let's end this game. Let's end it. Okay. Before
any other thoughts on this game, real quick?
Well, one specifically, but it's in the context of the Dak MVP stuff that I'm curious your thoughts on.
So I had a tweet and I wanted to bring it up. I tweeted just like I said, if Dallas continues to win up front like this, Dak MVP is going to be minus 110 by bedtime.
That was a good tweet.
And somebody posted the box score to a game that Dallas lost decidedly to Brock Purdy. Yes. And it's the same thing as, I don't know, name an LSU loss from earlier in the year.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. Like, they thunder trucked him. It doesn't matter when it matters less when it was, so early in the season. It's crazy. Like if this team,
I don't love that. I don't love it, but you're not crazy. It does feel like 1 million years ago.
Purdy should for sure get his flowers. The team played pretty well today. Didn't cover a single number. Well, I guess that number did get bet down. You remember somebody came in hard on plus 13, and then there was a little while where San Francisco was sitting at 10.5 in the market for. Yeah, like on Tuesday, I believe. So you could have gotten Dallas, or you could have gotten Niners numbers. You could have middled this.
There was a lot of middles today. We'll get to them. We'll get to today's slate, which was a middle fest.
There was some very close. Jacksonville.
Oh my God.
2-point conversion.
I got to imagine that Spanky's operation probably can just high five and call it a season, call it a year. 2023 was a winning year. Everybody goes home with the extra Christmas bonus. Everybody gets Christmas bonus
today.
There was a lot of middles today, man. All right, so the MVP like just point I wanted to make. And like I know I don't really have a dog in this fight. Like I'm covered no matter what happens. Like I don't really care at this point. I think Purdy should get more consideration than he seems to be getting in the eyes of the common Twitter commenter, which is maybe like the stupidest, that's not a good reason to think anything. But anyway, Purdy seems to get penalized for the weapons around him. Like, do you not understand how the Cowboys offense is rostered? Like, do you not understand that? Do you understand that CeeDee Lamb, you put him on the Niners, he's wide receiver 1. Like clearly wide receiver 1.
But it's different too. And a big part of what makes it different is CMC has been, an offensive player of the year and MVP candidate kind of person at various points in his career. Like he's been, very much talked about in that high regard. Debo is such a just a Swiss Army knife that does everything and gets all this yak. You have Ayuk doing that. You have Kittle, and you honestly don't have. You start mentioning all those names; those are like, hey, those are skill position players. We're excited about this. Like there's a drop off after CD, and the biggest boon to what Dak does after CD Lamb is probably the 5 guys in front of him. Like that was
that's a great point.
But
I didn't even think of that.
On offensive line, in the way that CMC and all the skill position players for San Francisco take away the credit for Purdy, an offensive line doesn't do that to a quarterback. Like, oh, he has a good offensive line. That it's clearly, you could plug Mac Jones into Dallas behind that offensive line. He'd do this too. It's just not the same conversation for some reason, even though it's probably more consequential. Like, and that's the crazy thing is like, it's not a great offensive line a lot of times for San Francisco. It's probably bottom 10 in a lot of people's ratings.
And 4 Jags.
Yeah, and it is. It's probably somewhere in the 20. It's like the 20th best offensive line, whereas Dallas on good days is top 5 for sure. So it's a weird conversation to have, and I don't know. We'll see how the voters feel about it at the end.
Dan, Brock Purdy's EPA is beating Jimmy G's in the system.
He's beating the ass.
He's beating he's putting him to bed. So yes. No, I just don't I just am kind of lost on the people who are like hold up Dak.
Well, I'm lost on listening to anyone on Twitter talk about it because it is basically just people talking about the guy they bet on, shitting on the guy they didn't, or if they're like, if maybe they're less of a bet or more of a fan, basically like, well, I'm an Eagles fan, so Dak sucks. Or I'm a 49ers fan, so Jalen and Dak suck and stuff like that.
Or Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. I'm never gonna get off that prior.
Yeah.
So he sucks. Yeah. I don't see it. Like Purdy had some absolute masterful moments today in the win against
and someone said, someone just commented here. We had it says Hurts got hit with the good offensive line stuff last year. I think it was more he got hit with the holy shit, they're able to just run the ball at will. And that opens up so much of the offense.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see? Okay. I beseech everyone listening to this halftime show, and I may say it again on the podcast, so apologies if you hear this twice. Track down the Trent Williams commentary about Brock Purdy, because he says it better than anyone else could. Like that guy's a Hall of Famer, and my goodness gracious, like he absolutely nails like what makes Purdy special. And I don't know, I love watching him play. Love, very, very excited that he's been so spectacular. All right, Benson has a hugely important question. What's the name of the hair stuff I use? This is not SpawnCon. And this is not
Aquanet?
No, this is not like some snake oil grow hair stuff. The shampoo that I use, which when I didn't have it for a couple weeks, like it was a tragedy around here. Like my hair was awful. Like I was upset every day. I have it's a 10 hair care miracle shampoo plus keratin. I get it on Amazon.
Soul Glow.
I would get it. I would get it in at CVS, but they lock it up. And you know how annoying it is to go get the CVS person to unlock the freaking thing you want? It's very annoying. So I just ordered on Amazon instead. But yeah, it's a 10 hair care miracle shampoo plus keratin.
It's a 10.
It's a 10.
Yeah.
It's a 10. It's a fucking 10.
It's dry up here, and nobody asked, but I'm big Moroccan oil guy now. I thought I had dandruff. It turns out they're like, no, Andy, you live in Minnesota. It's drier than shit in the winter. You just have dry skin under your hair. So I asked my hair lady, I'm like, can I put lotion in my hair? She's like, please don't do that, Andy. Please do not.
Please do.
She's like, you just need a little Moroccan oil. Boom. I'm fine. We'll put a link to the Discord in the YouTube comments.
All right, ready to go?
Yeah, let's
do this.
Let's talk about the week 14. I'm settled in. Pink sweatshirt, purple hat, ready to go.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to the deep dive, Andy. It's week 14 of the NFL. And there are plenty of times where we have come on and done a recap of a week, and it's been a winning week. And I've been a little bit, like not apologetic, but just like, the ball bounces your way sometimes. You get, you got to get lucky to win in this.
No, we
league,
just
right?
made a bunch of good calls. I had a couple of regretful ones that I couldn't get in.
Oh yeah.
I have a total that I talked about a bunch during the pod, and I didn't. This
is not going to be just a broad victory lap on this podcast because not everything went right. Like there were definitely some things that didn't go well. Not very many of them, but when it's week 14 of the NFL season and you're seeing the board well, and like your specific reasons you were making bets actually like hit the freaking screen, hit the box score, you're just like, this is good. Like I feel like we are in absolute postseason form right now. Absolutely fired up for the final stretch here. Yeah, this was a really, really good day. Like enjoy when you are this late in the season and the market understands these teams as well as it does, and this is the most efficient this is the most efficient North American sports market in all of the betting opportunities. It feels good, and I am very, very, very happy with the way that today went and our performance in particular, and the deep dive pod and the deep dive pod listeners. I hope that you take some winnings, buy your family, friends and family some extra stuff, buy yourself some stuff for Christmas. Like take profit, guys. Like this was a huge week. Do not give it back on college football or college basketball or any stupid shit like that.
Take it easy on bowl games.
Yes, seriously.
Unless you're betting informational stuff like 5 days in advance. Like betting bowl games.
If you haven't already bet bowls, I don't know that I would.
Yeah,
honestly,
we're getting past the spot where you want to bet at least the early half of the bowl.
Yeah,
so.
This was like. Do you share my sentiment? Like, was today just an absolute smash for you?
It's been a great week,
this was my best day of the entire NFL season. It happened week 14 is absolutely crazy.
The worst part about betting is like just the fact that you have to move on from good stuff quick, like. We had a great Thursday. Like I played nothing but Elliott props. Everything came through, and then we had a halftime winner as well. And it's like, fuck yeah, victory lapping all around. And then, by the time it's like Friday at 10 a.m., it's like, oh, it's done. I can't even be excited about this anymore. Dude, it's time to move on to the weekend.
We hit the middle on Thursday Night Football, which was a great sign. Army, dude, the Army Navy outcome was a fucking dream. The in-season tournament final was a fucking dream. Did you see that second half total was 122? I still can't believe it.
Do you want to talk? Do you want to talk Thursday real quick? Just, I don't think it was the game. The game didn't decide it. It was something that happened today. But the Patriots are eliminated from the playoffs, which is wild considering
Patriots and Panthers. Anyone else eliminated?
I don't think so. I'd have to look. I think just those two at this point, but Dallas. I said a Zeke. The Patriots kind of looked like they had a little bit of mojo. I don't know. It sucks too. It's like Now do you ride that and try to find something going into next year, even though it's probably going to hurt your draft positioning? I think so, because you're still trying to figure out some sort of identity on offense with bringing Bob back. So, bit of a weird team, but that was kind of an ugly game on the other side.
Yeah, and I mean, Patriots held on by their hair or their chin, and like the big takeaway or the big question swirling is like, is Tomlin's job safe?
Oh God, are we doing
I mean,
just Trubisky.
You already fired the sacrificial lamb. Like
Trubisky was bad.
Trubisky was bad, but
that was a lot of it.
Yeah, but even more than that, like you put one of America's greatest national treasures, TJ Watt, got concussed in the first play.
Not only did you hear that,
you put a visor on him and you threw him back out there.
Yeah, that's
kind of fucked up.
Sketchy. Fire him.
It's kind of fucked up.
And then looking forward, I know they have the 10 days to Dallas is slinging it. I love it. They have the 10 days to get right on this, but both of your edge rushers are in the concussion protocol now with Watt and Highsmith. Like, yeah, obviously clearing it with the 10 days is a lot easier, but man, if one or both of those guys,
we don't think Pickett calls his number, right?
I don't think so. I think
so. We're basically the injury takeaways from that game are it's still Trubisky. They're kind of fucked, and maybe no Highsmith and Watt. So who's rushing the passer? No one.
Yeah, it could be rough.
Boy.
Yikes. Yeah, Bill enjoyed. I did have to go back and catch some clips of Bill on game day. Like he and
it's now it's officially the Zappy show. Zappy's now got the keys. He's got the keys to the car.
He made some bad throws here and there, but it seemed better at times. It was 95. What did we lose here?
Okay. All right. Let's talk.
Let's
rip through today. Okay. Let's start with the first in rotation order, which was Jacksonville, Cleveland. Hand up. Didn't watch a second of this game. Hand up. Missed the most important factor from a handicapping perspective, which was Trevor Lawrence might go. He went. He was fine, but the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is as sus as we had postulated, conceding 31 points to Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns. David Njoku made a mockery of that linebacking core and safety group. The Jags D is a problem. Trevor Lawrence is not. And I think the Jags hold on the AFC South, if the other important teams didn't lose, would be very tenuous. But lucky for them, both Houston and Indy lost. And actually, Houston may be even bigger trouble because CJ Stroud went out with a concussion. So, any thoughts on? Did you watch any of Jags Cleveland?
Yeah, caught a little bit. Tough game for Trevor against his defense. A lot of their success was when they're put in advantageous positions. Flacco gave them some chances. 7 total turnovers in a messy game. This is a weird one. 7 turnovers, but both teams were perfect in the red zone. Just like the perfect storm. Nearly all the games, and I know some of the weather was basically every weather game was not as bad as we thought it was going to be 5 days ago. In fact, like it was pretty nice in Chicago, all things considered. And that was the only weather game, I think, that stayed under the total. Yeah. The rest of the ones that were in bad weather, Baltimore, the Jets game we'll get to in a second. But all of those games, they went over the total. Hey, obviously, being the teams being like 6 of 6 combined in the red zone, obviously, is a big part of that. But Flacco's good. He's still going to give you some turnovers, though.
Yeah. And by the way, the lowest scoring game of the season happened in a dome.
That was the lowest scoring indoor game of all time. Well, I mean,
shitting me?
Well, Drew, think about this. In the 1930s and 40s, when Berwanger was, and
they didn't even know how to build a.
Well, they had all these low-scoring games. Some of those were played just a field with a set of bleachers. Here's a fun fact that I would love Dan to do some research on. What was the first ever indoor football game? Outside of the weird ones.
The Pontiac Silverdome in 1960.
I was going to say, does the Silverdome predate everything?
I would think the Silverdome was the first one.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll
right.
look it up.
Either way, Jacksonville's defense is bad. Trevor probably
Yeah.
rushed back, although he looked to be gutting it out. They were missing 2 of their top 3 corners. That was problematic as well because Flacco picked them apart a little.
Yeah.
1932. Yeah, I know that was the
first
Chicago
game was
Chicago
in 1932. Oh, that's okay. Well,
that's crazy.
All right. That's a long time ago. Okay. Didn't realize they had domes in 32, but there you go. All right. Let's keep
next game.
Yeah, let's keep ripping down this slate here.
Real quick too,
Rams,
just remember how Walker Little was stepping in at left tackle?
Yes.
And he got hurt, and they put Ezra Cleveland in.
Yes.
He actually exited the game with a knee injury in the second quarter. So they're like 4 deep at left tackle now, too.
Oh, by the way, Myles Garrett looked fine.
Yeah, he seemed okay.
Yeah. Okay. So next game on the slate, let's try to keep this tight. I could go on about this one for half an hour, and I'm going to do my goddamnedest to keep myself focused here. Rams, Baltimore Ravens. This was the game of the day.
I have here's my notes. I have 2. I don't have a lot of notes. I didn't watch a lot of this.
Hit it. I watched every second of it. Go ahead.
Stafford looked great.
Yes.
Kyron looked great.
Yes.
Somehow still wasn't enough.
Cup was amazing as well.
Cup was great.
Puka Nacua, I think, made the catch of the season. He laid out for one on a drive.
I wasn't even sure if that was for him. I thought that was maybe thrown to the other receiver, which might have been Cup.
Incredible catch.
It's crazy. I do have to give Baltimore some credit for their resiliency in this one.
Sure.
They had the only turnover of the game. They were 1 for 3 of the red zone.
Yep.
But they still made it happen when it matters.
Yep.
That said, they're the ones that put themselves in that situation. Like, oh, look what we did. We were resilient and we won the game in overtime. Like, probably could have played a little better on offense. Like, yes, this defense is a titch overrated, and you have a really, really good play caller. You have Stafford, who has played really well. And, this offense was always going to get somewhere. And this was the one I talked about. I said, I know this weather looks bad, but I can't figure out how this total's 40. Like, I still want to hit this. I never ended up hitting this total. It did take some action. It ended up closing at 42. I wasn't on it. Hopefully one of you guys ended up going in on that once the weather report kind of scaled back. Your thoughts, you have 15 seconds.
This is going to be tough. I had Rams +7 today. It got bet to 7.5. I felt not great about that. Obviously, like, I was waiting to try to get the 7.5, and I bet it and then it immediately got thrown in my face, and I was like, what the hell, man, this doesn't feel great. And the fight that the Rams showed early was exciting. It was exhilarating. I was like, yes, these guys look good. The first drive of the game for the Rams, where they ran the ball 9 straight times and they were just running it down their throats, I was like, yes, this is what I knew they were capable of. This is so good. Stafford got into rhythm. He was electric late. You're absolutely right. Cup looks fine. Cup looked great. Ravens, by the way, lost Kyle Hamilton, which mattered. But the Ravens defense was havable, and the Rams had them. They had them right there. They should have scored a touchdown on that final drive of the game. They would have won. This loss does not really impact me materially, so I'm kind of like a little bit over it. But God, it was close. It would have been very, very cool to be celebrating Rams win today, right now. But they cover everything, like
it was nice for the teaser crowd to get Baltimore home. Yeah. I mean, we have some Rams to make the playoffs, which I still think is very live.
Really, really hope they do, man. Because them versus if this was the selection committee, you putting Vikings in over the Rams? I think not. My God.
So the Rams are right now the first team out. Sitting at 6-7. Seattle is also 6-7. They have a tiebreaker over them. New Orleans and Atlanta are 6-7, but the Rams are the best 6-7 team. Green Bay most likely goes to 7-6 tomorrow. That's nothing in the world is guaranteed, though. Minnesota somehow is 7-6. Dallas and Philly aren't, giving up a wild card berth. One of those teams is your 5 seed, almost certainly. So you do have to pass either Green Bay or Minnesota.
Yeah. Hey, look, if the Rams stay as healthy and they play as well as they did today, they're winning their next 3. And then that final game against San Francisco, which may not matter to San Francisco, becomes impactful for them. But the Rams are they're in the conversation with the Packers for who is the fourth best team in the NFC.
I know. The annoying part is that they lost their head-to-head with Green Bay.
They did.
They need
because thanks to freaking Brett Rippon. Although I bet Green Bay that day, so I'm fine with that. Anyway,
all right.
Anyway,
next game.
I'm still fucking sick. All right.
I know. I'm almost over it. I had chicken soup.
No. Before we move off, the Ravens lost Kyle Hamilton, which may matter, but the Ravens found an MVP candidate in Lamar Jackson. Holy shit! Holy shit! Chills every time.
That was the resiliency, though.
Every time the Ravens had the ball. Like, okay, so first of all, the Rams defense made some gross mistakes late. And I was joking with our friend Brinks at halftime. We were trying to come up with the play for the second half. And I was like, well, it's like there's a pretty obvious adjustment out there for the Rams. Stop blowing coverages. Like, that would be outstanding. Like, just stop blowing coverages.
Not only coverages to an old ass dusty OBJ.
Well, okay, so here's the thing.
And to be fair,
I went back and rewatched that play specifically because that was my thought. Like, how are the Rams blowing this? Look, the moves that he made, his double move on that route. Ooh, it was nasty. But the likely touchdown was just a fucking joke. And it was literally like, okay, just tighten up a couple coverage things and your defense is in there. Still, every freaking drive with Lamar Jackson with the ball in his hands, I was like, oh, Christ. And then they win the coin toss. And I'm like, well, I guess the Ravens are winning by 6. I assumed it was going to be because Lamar was going to drive the field and score a touchdown.
Yeah, that opening drive in overtime was super disappointing.
Yeah.
Considering the drives we saw in regulation.
Yeah, because like the drive where they needed to score the touchdown to go ahead, right? That was what, 3rd and a million? I don't even remember. It was 3rd and forever, right? And Lamar found Zay Flowers on an absolutely just beautiful read, beautiful keeping that play alive.
Zay Flowers was under his yardage total before that.
The Rams came so close to taking Lamar down. In the big moments late, and they couldn't get him because he's so hard to tackle. And then the 2-point conversion to Zay Flowers was massive too, Andy. Because if you don't have that 2-point conversion, you're losing in regulation. Yeah. So both of those plays were like, yeah, put that on his MVP reel. Like, I know his numbers absolutely stink out loud compared to some of the other contenders, but like just the fact that you watch it and you sit there and you're like, this guy's one of the best players in football. I know it because I'm looking at it. Like, that does matter for his MVP candidacy, and he's got games against like Miami and San Francisco. If he wins those games, he's in the mix. He might win. It. I wouldn't be surprised. All right, ready?
Yes.
Next up is Detroit, Chicago. Ooh, baby. 41 points in this one, Andy.
Did you see what just happened?
Meaningful. Oh no. Jalen Carter just got a touchdown?
Yeah.
How the fuck?
Well, DROI is...
the fuck?
Dak got stripped in a weird way. That wasn't less than ideal.
I don't love how there's only been like 3 minutes of gameplay.
I know. The
what are we doing?
There's been 3 drives, and they've each taken like 30 seconds somehow.
And the Eagles got a fluky defensive touchdown. Don't love for our under. Oh gosh. All right, we'll stay on these. What's the next game, Drew? All right, my MVP wouldn't have gotten stripped like that because he's got better pocket awareness.
He's slippery as fuck.
All right. Yeah, Detroit, Chicago was wild because there were 41 points scored, which is meaningful because this got bet down to 40.5 before the weather report changed, and then up to
46.
6 at the close. It was a big old number. And yeah, this is the side was always the Bears. The standout unit in this game was the Bears defense. The fact that the Bears got to 28 points was in large part because their defense set them up with some unreal field position in this game. Bears probably should have scored more than 28 if we're being honest with you, but the Lions only managed.
The middle
13.
Game for the Bears was rough. Like, they started hot, and then they left some points in the field. Detroit has given up. If you look at the last 4 games, Detroit has given up over 30 points a game. So this is better than usual for them. I wasn't expecting the Bears to score this much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was basically like, if you look at this box score, and I know some of the drives for the Lions were from a position of being at a very low win probability, but the box score and everything, all things considered, it was kind of an evenish game. Just 0-3 turnovers for the Lions, none for the Bears, and the Lions went 1 for 5 on fourth down. Like, just got it the whole game. And then obviously the huge. I didn't think Eberflus had it in him, but going for it on 4th and 13 and getting
the world?
What I guess they were in kind of. It was still.
They were trying to draw them off sides, and then they did, and then they were like, "Oh, cool, free play. We'll just score. We'll just score a touchdown."
I don't know if that's what happened, because how can you have if that's what happened? Kudos to that center and everyone else to know, like, hey, we're only snapping this ball if they jump off sides. Like, everybody, if everyone was on the same page with that, and you beat the coverage, I think they were always going to snap an scenario of, wow, hey, we got a free play and we have a free runner who is going to beat his man by 10 yards. Like, what an impactful. That was maybe the most impactful play of the game.
It was the most impactful play of the game.
Of the slate, I think.
That's not crazy. I will say that there was a little bit of lines standing around.
Milf Hunter has a point.
Yeah.
If defense shows X, run a play. I like that.
That's not crazy. I also think there was a chance the Lions were showing X, which was, you're not going to run a play. You're just going to take a delay of game and punt it. Yeah, we don't believe you. And they fucked around and found out in a bad way. And that was the game. Like, really, it was. I will say this: I'm looking at a door, Andy, that is wide freaking open. And you know what that door is? It's the NFC North Championship. And this was the outcome that opened it. This was the one, man.
Yeah, it's a 2-game difference, but I mean, the Vikings played that. Then Jesus, I don't know what I saw.
Play them twice.
I don't know what I saw from the Vikings.
The Vikings, they just have to win. Look, hey, we've seen a lot of examples of immovable object versus movable force, like stoppable force versus movable object. We've seen a lot of that this year, and like, it's always kind of surprising of who shows up, right? Like, the Chargers defense couldn't stop anyone, and then all of a sudden they hold the Patriots to 0, right? And you're like, oh wow, wow, okay. And like, the Lions can't stop anyone, and all of a sudden, no, they look good against an offense that can't do anything. So like, who knows? But the if the Vikings win either of those 2 games, and presumably they get, the Lions are going to get their lunch money stolen by the Cowboys. I would guess that the Packers can win out and steal. The Packers really only have that one game.
I'm much more bullish on the Packers doing this.
Yeah,
considering where their offense is right now, even if we do stick with, let's say it's not Dobbs from this point forward, and the offense looks a little better. Not only that, but I mean, Justin Jefferson went to the hospital. Yeah. Not ideal for that offense.
No.
We'll see. We'll get to that one in a second. But yeah, Packers to win the division. Very crazily live somehow after this one was kind of in the books.
Yep. Okay. Moving on. Carolina, New Orleans. Speaking of wide open to win the division, if you bet Saints to win the South, we back.
We have a 3-way tie at 6 and 7. Tampa Bay has the tiebreaker currently. I think Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is your division winner as we speak.
Much tougher schedule than the Saints, though.
The 2 teams that are tied with them are the 11th and 12th seeds, technically, or something along those. They're so far back. It's 6 and 7. Actually, they would be behind the Rams and Seattle in the NFC, so that would be 8-9. So they're 10 and 11 in the NFC right now. But basically, any of those 3 teams can still get the 4 seed. Baker, not the greatest day, but like Tampa Bay is very live. I think all 3 teams are very live. The Saints got something out of Carr, I guess, despite all the injuries. Yep. Olave played through an illness. I mean, you just kind of had the benefit of playing a really shitty game.
This was maybe the worst game.
Good.
Yeah, this was probably the worst game in a bad season for Bryce Young. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I actually looked at. I can't remember who sends out these emails. I love reading.
He looked lost. Yeah, it was not good.
God, who is it? Unexpected Points. Kevin Cole's email.
Yes.
I like to skim through those if I get time during the afternoon. I think he said it was like Bryce Young's worst game.
I thought
like
so.
from an EPA standpoint or something
Yeah.
like that. Both quarterbacks had a negative EPA, I believe was the case.
Yeah, and so the Saints got it done with their defense, which is maybe more of an indictment of the Carolina offense because the Saints defense has been playing so poorly. I don't know what got into them. That felt like dysfunction for Carolina more than it felt like function for Saints D, but who the hell knows? Put a pin in that. Tampa, Atlanta flew over the total, Andy, and Atlanta was the losing team in this one. You are correct about betting Tampa. High five by us. We got
that game
both
was
sides of that right.
Game was high variance, man.
Can you remind me what was Tampa's team total again? 17.
It was less than they scored.
It was not 29. I'll tell you
20
that
and a
much.
half.
It was not 29. That's for sure. No, it was not 20 and a half. This was maybe actually it did close 20 and a half. Whatever the case was.
It was right around 19 or 20, I think.
Yeah. This guy bet to the over. The over was correct. And these are two defenses that are missing a lot of important players. Tampa is an over team right now.
Yeah. Atlanta, Ritter didn't have the worst day. Basically, any time that they tried to do anything with Bijan early on was disastrous at no fault of Bijan. Like the one run he had to the outside that I thought for sure he was going to score on. Great tackle by the linebacker. And then the pass that Ritter just misses wide open on the other side of the field. And then if you look at the freeze frame of Ritter turning to throw to Robinson, he is like facing the back corner of the end zone. It's crazy how far he is rotated backwards to throw that pass that was intercepted. Really nice job at the end though by Baker to put together that drive, that touchdown to Otten. That was a perfectly thrown touch pass over the top. It was just a really nice drive to get the win. I wasn't super hopeful that they were going to be able to stop Atlanta from at least having, a Hail Mary. I was even more disappointed that it was going to be from the 30. I'm like, that's not even that long of a throw. And I don't even know if I can put this on Arthur Smith because he didn't throw the ball. But to throw the ball short of the end zone in that spot, unless you have a guy absolutely cleared out in an area, is pretty rough. That needing 30 yards and throwing it 27 was a funny way to end an NFC South game for the most part. Any other notes I had on that was the Bucs definitely are missing those injured defensive starters for sure. Like the Bucs defense is better than this when it's healthy. It is missing 2 or 3 important pieces, and that's hurting them a lot right now.
I agree with that. Okay. No real significant thoughts on how the division shakes out, but gun to head right now, Andy. The results you thought were going to happen happened. Who wins the South?
Oh man, everyone has their fatal flaws. Like Atlanta has all their issues. Tampa's not healthy in defense, and the Saints aren't any good.
They have the easiest schedule, though. Probably.
I love the Saints to win. They have the easy schedule, but if I had to rank it, I'd say Tampa, New Orleans, Atlanta.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Indy, Cincy. This got bet to the over. It went over. It was a somewhat entertaining game for the first half.
Theme
Cincinnati,
of Coach of the Year candidates all shitting the bed today.
That was a theme. Yeah. Anyone who was Coach of the Year candidate not shit the bed? I mean, Mike McDaniel didn't play, and neither did Matt LaFleur. So yeah, every other one came back to the field.
Yeah, Ryan's got dummied in that second half. Steichen, I want to put a lot of this on Steichen because
sure, do it.
I didn't understand the game plan. There was a lot of problematic. I had a screenshot of me. I was trying to post this, but it just wouldn't. You couldn't see it clearly enough. But it was me doing the Control F on the NFL rulebook, yes. And it was me asking, is it required to run Zach Moss on every first down? I didn't know if it was a rule because, I mean, they were so many dead downs for this team. They basically scored all their points in about a 30-second span, did very little outside of that. Browning looked very good again. He was just dehydrated when he went out. It was like he was cramping up, but it was in his throwing hand, which is what are you going to do? You have to go get a fucking IV. He even said after the game, he said it was embarrassing.
We're embarrassed for you, buddy. But like hey, guess what?
He was embarrassed about the muscle cramps.
I missed this because I don't really pay super close attention to game day Steam until we get to this podcast. Cincinnati closed 3. That is a move. Like when there wasn't really any meaningful injury information either way here, for that to move from Indy -2.5 to Cincy 3 on just the market being like this is wrong. That's a notable swing.
Yeah, I didn't love it because I'd teased the Colts. I really thought this was a plus matchup with they have 3 good receivers. And this is a really horrible offense. Not on my bingo card. The Cincinnati Bengals shutting a team out in the second half of a game.
They gave up 1 million yards too, right? Indy had 4.5 yards per play, which isn't great. They had 272 total. So actually, never mind. They didn't really give up that much at all.
No, this is one I watched a bunch of, and I still want to watch it again.
Yeah, I need to
understand what went wrong for Indy.
Here's this point remains though. Like, don't sleep on Cincy getting a wild card spot in the AFC because Jake Browning can operate the quarterback position fine, and he is working with a completely healthy offense otherwise, and they are very, very, very good. So,
I think so until the 3:00 games got done. Technically, the Bengals were in the 7th seed for a little bit today. They are very in the hunt. Very much. Their schedule is so hard, but they are going to ruin some parties. The funny part was the tiebreakers all shook out, and Pittsburgh, Indy, Cincy, Buffalo, Denver, and Houston are all 7-6 now.
Yeah. Wow.
So all the tiebreakers shook out, and it's funny. Bengals were replaced by the Colts as the 7th seed, the team they just beat.
Wow, that's weird.
There's so many tiebreakers going on right now because of there's 6 teams tied for 2 spots.
Did Browning's finger get hurt, Steve? Steve Midzer says
no.
Browning's finger got hurt.
I thought
that was too. It was cramping.
So it was cramping in his throwing hand and arm. He had to go get a quick IV and came back out after.
Refs
who stepped in for him.
Refs trying to make this game just holding on the Cowboys every fucking play. Get the hell out of here, guys.
Clipping. I think they called it clipping.
They called holding.
All right, what's next?
All right, that was a little bit close call. All right, the Houston. Speaking of closing 3, Andy, the Houston Texans closed 3. We had 2 matchups where we had massive line movement on no injury news. This was the second one. The Jets got bet like people knew the final score. I was part of that party. I didn't get as much Jets money line as I wish I had. I bet more Jets +6. That feels like a fairy tale. This was a bad game for Houston. The game itself was bad.
Stroud was clearly outplayed by Zach Wilson.
That's bad, right? Tank Dell
Although Wilson
not being
seemed
available.
to have a little juice.
Wait,
he looked okay at times.
Did Tank Dell play?
No.
He did not play.
Tank Dell's out for a bit. They also lost. Oh God, who's the other? So Nico Collins went out early with the injured calf. Like that hurt. They had cornerback and then Blake Cashman, linebacker. They had hammies.
Yeah.
They went out in the first half, didn't come back. Actually, Will Anderson got injured late in the game.
He was pretty ineffective anyway.
Yeah, he had something with an ankle. I don't think that was super impactful. And then obviously the biggest injury was the Stroud head injury. He absolutely got bounced off the turf, Tua style, and that looks like probably heavy concussion protocol, and who knows if he goes next week. They are one of the 6 teams in the tiebreaker, so that's super problematic for them. And Drew, I have a trivia question for you.
Oh yeah, hit me.
In the SDQL database that we like to play around with,
sure,
it goes back to 89.
Yeah,
so how many games are there in a season? Like 250? Let's just say
256.
Yeah, so let's go
256.
All the 90s to 2000s. So you're looking at like 24, 34 years. So that's about 9,000 games or so. How many games were 0-0 at half since 1989? So we had 2 today.
We haven't had 2 since 1988. I heard that on the broadcast.
Yeah. Yeah, two on the same day is stunning.
0-0 at half, I feel like happens somewhere in the 1% of the time. So would you say out of 9,000 games, we'll say, we'll say, I guess 9% is 90. That can't be right. 90?
No, that's high. Fewer 35 games.
Oh, wow. So like 0.3% of games.
Yeah. How many of those do you think went over the closing total?
0.
Yeah, just the one. Just today.
Oh no!
Just
if
today.
you had under a Jets Texans,
So the
you have.
Jets,
Oh my
depending
god!
depending where you bet. They
Oh
closed,
my god!
30, 33.
How the shit did the Jets score 30 points in the second half?
There was some good field position, but also like they just kept getting
plays
after
and
it.
shit. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think of Zach Wilson having his best day as a pro after coming back from being benched? Is that a signal? Is he going to be good down the stretch?
A little bit, maybe a little bit of a signal, I guess. I mean, he was fine, but yeah, those last three field goals took it over the total.
Holy shit!
Because even in the fourth quarter, this went into the fourth quarter 16-14, or excuse me, 6-14 after the Singletary run.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Breece Hall touchdown, that was just all of the touchdowns. So all three of the touchdown drives for the Jets were long. You had a 75-yard drive, a 69-yard drive, and a 75-yard drive. The field goal, I believe, was off a fourth down, maybe turnover on downs. So all three field goal drives that they scored on, they lost yardage on those drives. So your three touchdown drives combined for like 300 yards.
Wow.
More like 220. But your three field goal drives that ended up taking this over the total were a 4-play -1 yard drive, a 5-play -6 yard drive, and a 4-play -1 yard drive. In the driving range, Zerline hit a 51 and 55 yarder to bend you under bettors over. This was truly a really ugly bad beat. But yes, going
I feel
forward,
like
Wilson
honestly
okay at times.
I feel like a game where one team has 2.6 yards per play. That's got to be like 0 for 300.
Oh,
to the under. Yeah. Like there's very, very few games where there's been one team this ineffective and the total's gone over. Weird game. Jets defense is amazing. They played their best. This was Jet weather. This was Jet defense weather, I guess. No other real takeaways other than CJ Stroud had his worst game as a pro in literally in the exact framework that you would say, boy, he might have his worst game as a pro. You know what am I being too reductive, Andy? He was up against an elite defense in terrible conditions with on the road with missing players on the skill position group, missing players on the offensive line. This was weirdly, wildly predictable. The fact that it actually came to fruition was amazing.
No, for sure. The fact that the Jets scored that many points,
crazy,
and a half.
Yeah, crazy. I don't think I'm going to get my Jets lowest scoring.
No, that hurt. I thought about you a little today.
30 points probably puts it. Hey, you know what though? I won a bunch on the Jets today, so I cashed out effectively. So that's fine by me.
All right.
All right. You got any thoughts on Seattle, San Francisco, or no? It's close to 15. 15 and a half. Oh, we missed the Geno Smith altogether. Yeah.
Once the Drew Lock news came through, like Geno was questionable, and it was really making me. It had an eerie feeling, but I still didn't think like, man, they're gonna have to play him. They can't go with Drew Lock. And honestly, Drew Lock he covered the closing number. He covered the first half for a guy Brinks. He wasn't bad at times. I mean, he has enough weapons. It's kind of like the Browning thing. Like, man, he might be better than we thought, but he also has Chase and Higgins and Boyd and everything. Like, you have good skill position players. Both of the tight ends both of the running backs came back healthy and played. So you had basically all of your offensive skill players going. It just, what are you gonna do? The Niners are too much, man.
The Niners are very good. If you learned that today, welcome to out of a coma. I'm glad you're healthy.
Yeah, I mean, Christian McCaffrey's first play from scrimmage was like 75 yards.
Brock Purdy was solid today. I liked a lot of his. I thought a lot of his high points were very impressive today. Nobody else does apparently. The middle landed here among the many middles of the day. This was. I did not see the Geno Smith news coming at all. That was a total surprise. And honestly, I don't think anyone who bet Seattle was like betting it because of like they thought Geno Smith was the answer. The idea that there was a major downgrade from Smith to Lock was a little, huh? Oh, okay.
Yeah, from a less than 100% Geno Smith in this year to Lock.
Yeah,
it was probably a couple point downgrade, but like
not a ton though, and it was already way out there. Like I guess my point is just.
Yeah, what's the difference between like 13 and 15?
Yeah, and Seattle was inside the number for a lot of this game. Like the Kittle touchdown late took it over. That Kittle touchdown, by the way, was my favorite Brock Purdy pass of the day.
He had a couple nice ones over the top, like just over the top of the linebacker coverage, over the safety, just a couple guys that got loose in the seam.
Yeah,
there was some really nice passes. He looked great.
Yeah, the Vikings closed 3-point favorites. Oh, by the way, Seattle
covered a
Seattle.
push.
Seattle. By the way, I meant to say Seattle clinched the West, right? That's it. Seattle wins the West.
No, they can't. They lost the game, Drew.
I'm sorry, San Francisco. My bad. San Francisco clinched the West.
I'm not 100% sure. They're 10-3. Seattle is now 6-7. So they could
Rams are
they
6
could
and
finish.
7.
They could finish 10-7, but I think they lost both games to them.
Yeah.
So I think the Rams can actually win the San Francisco clinched a playoff spot.
Okay.
I think they can get in. They're in, but they haven't. They
haven't won a home playoff game. Okay. They effectively clinched today, from what I can tell you. Minnesota closed as 3-point favorites. Andy, they won by 3.
What a game!
I'll be very, very, very frank. Okay. When you're seeing the board well, when you have a read on things are going well, and you look at a total at 40.5 between Minnesota and Las Vegas, and you're like, 2 defenses that are playing up, 2 offenses that I have questions about. 40.5 is fine. I'm just going to skip this game. That's a mistake. Like, I very, very clearly should have been looking for an under in this one, and not having done so feels like a loss. So this was never in doubt. Truly, actually never in doubt. Like this was.
I mean, so the other game was scoreless at half, and they scored 36 in the second half. So I guess 40 isn't that far out of the realm of possibilities, but such an outlier. I really wanted it to go 0-0 into overtime. They brought Mullins in. He looked a lot better than Dobbs. Dobbs looked kind of lost today. Jefferson, like we said, Jefferson ended up going to the hospital after taking a hard hit to the back chest area. They call it a chest injury, but he reached for his back right away. Not great. Like we said, the Lions are susceptible, but Minnesota might not have the roster put together to do it. It might come down to Green Bay, actually, if they want to make a run at this division. But they'll need help from Minnesota. Minnesota probably doesn't need to split with the Lions at that point anyway.
Yeah. Minnesota and Green Bay have to team up to keep Dan Campbell from winning the North. You can do it, guys. I believe in you. Okay. I don't have any other thoughts on this game. I guess
lowest scoring indoor game ever.
We talked about how people were on Raiders and the fact the Raiders defense is showing signal of good, and I don't get it.
It's a push, Alvaro.
Yeah. Sure enough.
If your book took your money on that, you should call customer service.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you should get your money back.
Give me my steak
get your
back.
money back. Would you believe the Raiders 1 yards per play in this? 3.8 to 3.3.
So there's that expression when teams can't get in the end zone despite having yardage. Say they moved well between the 20s.
Yes.
They moved well between like the 20 and the opposing 45.
All right.
Like they had that. They had that section of the field fucking nailed.
All right. Do not fact check me on this, guys. But I will make you a promise. I promise you. There has been. This is like scoregami, but in a weirder way. You ready? I promise you this was the only game ever contested in NFL history where the teams combined for 3 for 3 on fourth down, and there were 3 points total scored. These teams were perfect on fourth down, and there were 3 points scored. This has never happened before. Every fourth down was converted, and 3 points were scored. Bizarre game. Absolutely weird. All right. Raiders playing on Thursday night. Good luck against capping that market against Easton Stick, I guess. Are we there yet? Is Easton Stick next? Yes, he is. Easton Stick came in injury time for the fractured fingered Justin Herbert. We've probably seen Justin Herbert throw his last pass of 2023. We've probably seen Brandon Staley coach his last game of 2023, maybe. Changes are coming for LA. And that was not a great performance by them against Denver. They closed as 3.5. The Chargers got bet today?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know what people are seeing because of, and again, a lot of it comes down to the Chargers offense. This was one where I kind of looked at it a little, and maybe
total closed 46.
I have some regrets because this is one I talked about on the pod too, and I feel like some Denver money line should have been in pocket at this point because this has not been an offense that's been able to do a lot of stuff outside of just force feeding Keenan. We haven't got a ton out of Eckler, and then obviously the injury threw the game out. So the injury threw the game out of whack. But Denver was always the side. I mean, they were going to win this game. Maybe we get some heroics out of Herbert, and this is a close game late. But I don't know. This was a rough hang. I didn't catch a lot of the second half of this one. It sounds like a broken finger on his throwing hand, which is, I mean, we're at week 14. What's the point of having him come back in like 17 or 18 for a 5-8 team? They are behind, like we said, there are 6 teams tied at 7-6 for 2 spots. What hope does a 5-8 team have at this point? So I don't see a lot of reasons to bring him back. But yeah, once he was injured, that was the game, that was the season, and that was maybe the tenure for Staley at this point too.
Dude, I got the Pico worst price possible on this total, and it wasn't close. I've actually sold to under 43 at a plus money price. It closed 46 and it was not close. Closed Chargers 3.5. It was not close. So somebody literally just woke up this morning and decided, you know what? The Chargers offense is going to have themselves a day. And they didn't. The Justin Herbert portion of the game had 0 points scored for the Chargers. They still have massive issues with how they are utilizing their running backs, wide receivers, and there's just not a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball. This was a meaningfully tough test against the Broncos, who are a good defense. I don't understand why this line movement happened and why it was so incredibly wrong. This is one I actually have to take a serious step back and think about. I missed entirely that this closed where it did. I don't understand this. So let's put a pin in Denver and LA and come back to this game come back to these teams and try to add a little bit of context on Wednesday because I don't get it. Buffalo.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, like you said, I don't know what the bull case for the Chargers was.
I don't get it. I do not understand it.
The only thing they were at home. Denver was back-to-back road. The defense isn't that good, but still, it was surprising. I'm with you there.
Especially because both if there was one unit coming into this game, Andy, where I was like, the market sentiment is not quite right. It was the Chargers defense. The Chargers defense has been playing kind of fine. And yet the market bet this like this was going to be shootout. I don't get it. All right, we gotta dig and find out what the world was going on there, because I don't understand this. Kansas City closed 2. The total closed 49. Final score: Buffalo 20-17. Buffalo was clearly the best team through the first quarter and a half of this game, and then it was very much in doubt for the next quarter and a half, and then it was very much in truth that the Chiefs were the better team, but doesn't matter. Buffalo still.
Do you agree with that? I sent you that DM. I said, like, the Chiefs were the better team in the second half.
Oh yeah,
and still, but we've had several games like this. What's the one where MVS dropped the ball? The Eagles game. Same. So the Chiefs were the better team in that second half for big parts of it. The Chiefs don't have any bailouts that aren't, at this point, that aren't Kelsey. And if Kelsey doesn't happen, or if Mahomes doesn't do it with his feet, if they have, God forsake, a little bad luck with the refs, which they did. I mean, Tony was that stuff was getting called more. And the Von Miller thing, he was probably offside too, and they missed it. That shit happens. You can't leave that to the refs. You need to be better than this and win games against a team that has this many players missing on defense. At this point in the year, like, you had to be better throughout the first part of the game. My one bullet point is, I said, I'm kind of pleased with this word, because in my head it describes what he does the best, or what he does. It describes it the best. I wrote, Josh tried to goober this up a bunch of times. Like, he had those Josh moments where, I mean, even the pick was bad. The pick was very bad. And then he starts doing these shovel pass things just to get rid of the ball. And you don't know where those are going at times. Like, he did try to goober things up a couple times. We had some issues with Josh. They ended up pulling this out. The time and clock management heading towards the 2-minute warning by McDermott was, I mean, that's if this is a
puke.
If this is a football league that's based in, like, Eastern Europe in the 70s, that's a firing squad kind of shit. Like, take them out back. It was so bad. Like, we're just gonna throw. Like, if you not learned your lesson, you're just gonna give them. You're gonna give them all their timeouts. You give them like 2.5 minutes to do it. Like, at this point, are you playing like 4D chess, where you're like, they're just gonna score, so we need time to score again after this?
It kind of was sort of the vibe. And by the way, if you remember that game, that did also happen. Yeah, you remember? People forget. Yeah. People remember the 13-second score, but there was another score answer before that inside the 2-minute warning. Anyway, God, where to go, man? Also, it was as someone who backed the Bills against the Eagles, it was PTSD to the max. Like, oh, cool, you're giving a dynamic offense 2 minutes against this defense to score 3 points. Cool, awesome. Didn't love. Anyway, Sean McDermott it's almost impossible to spell it out how not my guy Sean McDermott is. Like, don't love what he does.
How not my guy he is.
He's so phenomenally not my guy that I am like, I am going to hold my nose and bet the Bills a couple more times this season, and probably next week against the Cowboys. But like, boy, oh boy, does he find ways to fuck up end of games. The ref thing, if you're a KC fan or better and you're out there complaining about the refs, like, here's the perspective of a Buffalo better. The Bills got jobbed for 3 3/4 and change in that game. Like, they were getting calls against them that made that a competitive game, I thought. In the middle.
Hey, the team total over.
Hey,
that took a little. I kind of forgotten about it.
Did take a little longer.
I was stressing the second half.
It did take a little longer than I thought. But no, I think ultimately, like, the refs were very lopsided early, and then they made a couple of correct calls and missed one call late. I didn't think it was wildly lopsided to give the Bills the win when it was all said and done. The chances were there for Mahomes and company. Kelsey with a very quiet 6 for 83. Like, he felt impactful in the game, in the comeback moments, in some high leverage moments, but didn't really show up a ton on the stat sheet. Rashee Rice had a huge lost fumble, but otherwise remains the best receiver for the Chiefs. not having Isaiah Pacheco didn't matter because Clyde Edwards-Helaire did fine. I thought actually his numbers were horrible.
I know. And
Jarek McKinnon was.
so I was
rushing
cheering
numbers
for
were
the
horrible.
Bills because
Yeah.
I knew people that were on Buffalo, and I thought it was the right side, and I thought they deserved it at times. But there was the many times rule of cool. Like, if that was ever a case, that play should have stood based on the rule of cool, because how many times do we get a cool lateral? Most 99% of laterals in the NFL are on plays that are going to end up as a 7 lateral fumble for negative 18 yards at the end of a losing effort. Truthfully too, like, how we do this with, the EPA per play, or just EPA of an individual play. When we look at that and we say, like, oh, this was so massive because it was late in the fourth quarter and it was a red zone turnover or whatever. Like, I think about that from the context of penalty. The what is the word I'm looking for? Like, how impactful a penalty can be compared to how important the penalty was. Because when you get these, like, all right, that was it was a 100-yard kickoff return, but clearly, like, he was never going to turn the corner without a huge block in the back. Hey, it was a clear holding, and that's the only reason that running back got there. That is super impactful. It's funny, like, this was such an impactful penalty that gave him no advantage in the play.
None.
Like, being 4 inches closer to the goal line, no advantage whatsoever. So it really kind of stinks from, but I mean, those are the rules, I guess.
Yeah.
It's funny, and they're calling this a lot. In the previous, like, 2 years, I think we've had a combined 3 offensive offside calls. And for the most part, I mean, it's just got to be blatant shit. They've called like a dozen of these now this year.
I was actually disappointed. I agree. Yeah, that was great commentary by you. Good job, Andy. The Bills ultimately win. I don't 100% know that they were the right side. I thought the offense was a disappointment, only getting to 20. I thought the offense got conservative too early in the game, like way too conservative too early in the game, which is a McDermott. What do you call it? It's not a high leverage Buffalo Bills football game without McDermott getting conservative too early. The yards per play and everything,
the rushing total went under on the kneel downs.
Yeah, there was some weird shit like that. Ultimately, the big the big surprise for me, and you can tell me if you disagree. I thought the Bills got beat in the trenches on both sides of the ball on this one over the balance of the game.
The pass rush wasn't doing much.
The Bills pass rush did nothing, and Josh Allen felt like he was under duress a lot, which was weird surprise.
That's fair too. Yeah.
I did not expect that.
And then Kansas City has had some drops.
All right. Look,
continues to be an issue.
I am 50-50 on would I rather see the Bills in the playoffs for an entertaining playoff game, or would I rather see McDermott fired so we get somebody better with the keys to Josh McCown?
Because
Josh Allen.
Let's call him Josh McCown.
Josh McCown. Okay. You tell me, better job, Buffalo or LA Chargers?
I mean, you have to live in. If you take out the fact that you have to live in.
No. You do not take that out.
I know it's tough because I just went to LA and it was so nice, and I live in the north and it's so not nice right now.
We had one of the most spectacular 2 days of weather that I can remember living here these last 2 days. It was all time.
We had some snow. It's still so living on the beach compared to living on the shores of Lake Erie.
Living on the beach and getting Herb versus living in Lake Erie and getting Josh.
I still think Buffalo is the better front office, the better ownership group, the better home field advantage, and the better window.
You think?
Yeah.
A lot of old heads on that D.
It's close. Well, yeah, the defense, but defense still doesn't matter like offense does. You still have if you Allen and Diggs over Herbert and Allen, I guess. And it's close. And I love Herbert, but I mean, Allen sucks just not having a home field advantage at all in LA. That's part of it.
Who do you think is the top candidate right now for a head coaching job?
A lot of people.
Number one power rated candidate.
Ben Johnson, for sure. The Lions OC still. I think people will be looking at God, who's the other one that people were talking about the other day? Brian Johnson his name came up. Honestly, Dan Quinn will get interviews again.
Sure. Mike McDonald.
Honestly, it's silly because
Jim Schwartz.
So this is silly because he's only 1 year in, and maybe he doesn't actually get interviewed. But the other LaFleur, now that he's part of what's happening in Los Angeles for the Rams, like Mike McFleur maybe takes
Mike McFleur. Let's go call him Mike McFleur.
Matt McFleur. What is the other one?
Oh no, it's Mike LaFleur, but I thought you said Mike McFleur.
I probably did. We're throwing a Mick on everything.
We're putting Micks in everything. Yeah.
So he maybe he doesn't get the HC, but it's a case where he goes Bieniemy style, where he goes and gets an OC job where he's actually the OC and a play caller and something at a different spot, and then he can take the training wheels off instead of letting McVay do everything.
Okay.
I don't know. Right. Yeah, the Brian Johnson for ACDC.
Different
guy.
Interesting. Okay.
If you want blood.
The final thoughts. I mean, obviously Buffalo is still in the mix now. KC is kind of out of the mix of the 1 seed, which is insane. Baltimore may have won.
KC's a full 2 games behind Baltimore now.
Did Baltimore win the AFC North today, in your opinion?
I mean, they're only 2 games ahead of Cleveland, but it's still too close. They still play on the razor's edge, man.
Okay.
Speaking of ACDC,
you want to rip through openers? You got anything on Thursday night?
I pulled them out. Thursday night.
The Vegas Raiders are favored by 3. Okay. Well, what a difference a week makes.
Let's spend 5 minutes on Monday Night Football, the doubleheader tomorrow.
Oh, did you bet any of that?
So I'm dangerously close to laying 13.5 with Miami.
Okay. I think if you like that, I would just play the over.
That's where I'm back and forth between the over, the Miami 13.5, or just Miami team total over.
Yeah,
Miami. It's the same situation I had with this game. Obviously, a way smaller spread.
Yeah,
but I couldn't decide how I was going to back Dallas. Maybe you can talk me through it.
I think Miami's defense is being rated like they're at full strength, and they're missing their most impactful linebacker and their best pass rusher in this game.
That's where. So I liked how the fill-ins came in and looked okay, but I realized it was versus Washington, and that that is different than playing a good team who looks good on a regular basis. So maybe grain of salt at that point, but I still think they filled in admirably. We'll see how it looks against Levis on the road here. It might just be the over. The only issue I have with the over is if we just get the complete no-show from the Tenney offense like we've seen once in a while.
Yeah, which definitely happens. So I haven't played it, but I would. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I'm doing soul searching. It's 46.5 or 13.5 or the Miami, which would be a big team total. I think Philly just fumbled again.
Yeah, they did. They absolutely did. Good for an under for a second half under. That is. Yeah, the Green Bay is down to 6. I think that's Green Bay or pass. You got any opinion there?
Yeah. Unless the wheels finally come off and it's been a 3-week mirage, Love has gotten rid of the bad plays. He's gotten rid of the wasteful overthrows and the yikes plays. And this is it's a pass rush that can come at time, but man, this offense it's kind of trading on borrowed time, I think, with the cutlets. So we'll see. I'm not super keen on Green Bay's defense. It's on the road here. I'm not super sure if I'm super excited to back Green Bay as a road favorite yet. Like maybe we pump the brakes a little. It's like, hey, Jordan Love's good. Laying 6 points on the road, good.
Okay. I think it's.
I think Saquon can still get something done against this front.
Okay, I'm not dying to bet any of these games early this week, but I do think the potential for Easton Stick against probably still a AOC, or is Jimmy G going to get the call? Who knows? 34 is a big number for Thursday. Two defenses that are playing better. I don't fucking know. I'm probably skipping that one.
Easton Stick AOC. Yeah, it'd be underpass, and it would. I don't think I can lay points with AOC, even if it is Easton Stick at this point. Not excited to back Thursday. I'll find a prop for that one. If we see any support for the Chargers, I could see myself teasing. I mean, even at 3, a low total game like this, maybe a nice teaser. And then we have our first Saturday games: Vikings,
holy shit, man!
Cincy, Steelers, Colts, and Broncos at the Lions.
Joe Burrow and the Bengals are laying 4 points to the Minnesota Vikings. Jake Browning and the Bengals are laying 4 points against the Vikings.
Vikings defense, say what you want about what the Raiders were able to do, which was little to nothing, but a lot of that was still the Vikings defense playing well.
Yeah, Nick Mullins gets the call, you think?
I think you start Mullins, don't you?
I would guess. I don't know. That's a weird line, man. 39 and -4 for Cincy is weird. I would lean under, and I would lean under even though God, dude, Cincy's defense is so sus, but
it's so bad.
Yikes.
And when Mullins came in, they moved the ball. We don't know the status of Jefferson, so this is probably a no bet at this current.
Indy is -2.5, tickling 3 against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh likely going to be without Highsmith and Watt, who is going to have concussion symptoms.
Well, they have 10 days to clear, so that makes a big difference. If you're missing 2,
that's a good point.
I mean, there's like 2 of the
extra rest for Pitt.
Where do you rank Highsmith in the hierarchy of like pass rushers?
He's in the top. He's in the top. He's in the upper top 30, I would say.
Yeah,
maybe top 20.
2 very highly rated pass rushers that could be missing. Colts looked real bad on offense at times. So
Denver Detroit total is only 46.5, huh?
Goff back inside. Denver's defense has been playing tough, but
they got bet against with how do you want to say extreme prejudice today.
Yeah,
Denver. Okay, you want a blind prediction? The Denver Detroit total gets bet up 3 points from here.
What a catch!
Was that
it's tickling towards the under.
Gallup's catching
somehow. Yeah, Gallup's catching balls somehow.
Gallup can catch it all of a sudden? Wow.
He's like, hurry up, run a play, because I think he might have been out of bounds. It's tilted towards the under. Bookmaker at under 47 -112. I don't have a strong opinion because I've seen the Lions scuffle a little on offense even. I don't know.
Yeah, it was against the Mighty Bears.
Figuring them out a little?
Now we get the team that people just bet against for Denver, though. On the road, Denver's on the road again. I think
this will be Denver's
Look,
third. Not only weird third consecutive road game, also third consecutive indoor road game.
Weird, very weird. I look.
They yearn for the fresh air.
I'm just telling you that total is not going to be around this weekend. That's not going down. That's going up. 46. Good luck. You want a total that has CLV. Bet over 46 in Denver, Detroit. I'm gonna wait for obviously limits to go up, but we will see if that's still available midweek. I doubt it. No opinion of Atlanta, Carolina. No opinion on Cleveland, Chicago. No opinion on Tampa, Green Bay. No line on Tampa, Green Bay. No line on Houston, Tennessee. No line on Giants, Saints. No line on Jets, Dolphins. San Francisco, Arizona is 13.5, 46.5. That's a fat skipperoonie. Rams already out to 7. No line yet on Dallas, Buffalo, although Dallas is going to probably be a bet against, I think. 3.5 trending for Baltimore against Jacksonville. I agree with that. 10 for Kansas City. Man, I don't see anything to bet this week, Andy.
I want to get a little more. I need to get a grip on the Jaguars injuries, because if that tickles back down to 3, I'm gonna just bet the fucking Ravens for the 900th time this year. If that's a flat 3 and we get bad news for some of these Jags injuries, I might look at that. Although obviously Hamilton matters a lot for the Ravens. Chiefs 10-point favorites over the Patriots, total 37.5. 37.5 in a Chiefs game, Drew.
Andy, I have to focus, and I have to find 5 sides this week.
Yeah, it's contest season. This is tough. I don't see a lot I love at all. You could probably
This is an awful slate.
You could probably play cards 13.5.
Oh.
If you made me pick 5 sides right now, I would play Minnesota +4.
Yeah, Jets.
I would
probably
play. Where are they at? I don't have that. I'm looking at Chris. What's there?
Oh yeah, Jets like 13.5 are around.
Okay. Yep.
It's a big ass number.
Yeah. You don't love it as much, but pencil that one in. I would play the Ravens. I would play the Patriots +10 at home. I would play the Browns -3. That's probably going to be a 3.5 in the contest, though.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I don't know if I love that one as much. Just Bears stuff. Kind of a flat. I think that's a really flat spot for the Bears against a real legit defense.
Oh, okay. Circle Browns.
Well, what do you? I mean, what do you think? Because
Joe Flacco doesn't lose in that building.
That was a really, really bad defense they played today, and they left. I mean, they left a lot of opportunities out there. A lot of what they did was but the Lions were like $1 for $1 million on
Denzel Ward counters DJ Moore. Now go beat us somewhere else. Good luck. Yeah. You're right. You're right. Bears very, very low spot.
Fields. I like the Browns this week.
Yeah.
I almost bet the Browns at 3 today, and that was I guess I'm glad. It was 3 for most of the week. I think it was 3.5.
I honestly can't watch that game until I rewatch it. Because I can't comment on that game until I rewatch it because I have no idea how that was competitive. No clue.
Houston, Tennessee. Tennessee.
Hey, is this the first time that our recap pod is going to make it to the end of the game? We're at the 2-minute warning, man. What the hell happened?
We talked a lot.
Not that much.
We had a lot of opinions.
Not that much. This is like an hour and 5, hour and 10-minute pod.
I'm still feeling a little peaked from drinking too much.
You think our under 26.5 is going to get there?
We're sitting at 13.
13 points scored, so we're working.
2 touchdowns would kill us.
2 touchdowns would kill us. Okay. Hopefully, there's not a. You know what would really suck? A Cowboys touchdown and then a Cowboys fumble. We have been blessed with 2 really fortuitous Eagles fumbles.
Yeah. In the second half, it looks like Dallas is gonna. If they can keep Philly from scoring, they should be able to cover their second half number. For anybody who took that, they did not keep the foot on the gas as much as I kind of thought they would. I guess they've driven the field. They're just likely to probably just kick 3 field goals here. Best case scenario, they convert this 3rd down and then just run, and this game is almost over.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
Davis Mills is possibly playing next week. Have fun, guys, with that. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. Really appreciate you guys in the chat. You were great today. A lot of good points, a lot of good questions, a lot of good comments. Had some fun, had some laughs, won some games. We'll be back. See you Monday. Doubleheader. We'll pick which game we do because the halftimes are going to be pretty close to each other, so we'll probably talk about both games anyway.
There was a lot of to cover.
I don't like this doubleheader thing.
I'm gonna go one step beyond. I'm gonna go one step beyond you, Andy. It's fucking garbage. It's literally stupid. Like there's